Hey everybody, how's it going? Josh here, and today we're going to talk about King Kong, or just Kong I guess for short, versus Rodan. And this is a MonsterVerse battle, which is really interesting to look at, because I was thinking about the fact that we have Godzilla versus Kong coming out in the future, but if Godzilla is going to fight Kong, then you would argue, how does Kong stand up against the other monsters of the MonsterVerse that Godzilla himself is more powerful than, such as Rodan and Mothra. I'm not really going to consider Ghidorah as a part of this kind of mini series of sorts, this two-part series, I guess three-part series really, because the third video is if Kong will gain powers, but I don't really consider Ghidorah a part of it just because from everything we've seen so far and know of so far, Ghidorah is not only an equal to Godzilla, but he might be slightly more powerful than Godzilla. So if he's more powerful than Godzilla, and Godzilla and Kong stalemate for whatever reason, I don't see Kong defeating Ghidorah by any means, because if he can't handle one-headed lizard, I doubt he can handle a three-headed lizard shooting lightning or energy or whatever Ghidorah has with him. But with Rodan in that kind of fight, this is actually a really interesting fight, and when I was looking at it, the first thing I was curious about is the fact that, does Kong have experience fighting winged creatures that can fly? And upon looking into these kind of things, I kind of noticed that on Skull Island there are flying monsters called Psycho Vultures. And there's two types of Psycho Vultures, but the thing that's interesting to me is that Psycho Vultures, beyond their ability to just fly, they can also shoot electricity out of their mouths, and also have anesthetic agents from their beaks. So it's kind of interesting to me because this kind of gives the premise that Kong either has experience, or at least he has witnessed and has a general know-how of fighting or at least approaching a winged creature that has beyond physically natural abilities, such as just flying or claws or their beak itself. Now Rodan is a lot more different than Psycho Vultures, strictly because he is over 10 times their size and a hell of a lot more durable. I mean, Rodan is 154 feet tall with a wingspan of 871 feet, which is a hell of a lot taller and bigger than Kong, because Kong is barely just over 100 feet tall, and while this is him before he reaches maturity, so he could be a lot bigger than this in the current day, all we can really go off of so far is what we've seen from Kong, which is formerly in the Kong Skull Island movie. So unfortunately we have to use the smaller Kong than the size we actually know he will end up being, because we don't even know how tall he'll end up being. So it's hard to just, guesstimate and hope you're accurate with this kind of comparison. Now, other things we know about Rodan is that he's pretty durable, he's not weak to gunshots, and he could tank things like fighter jets and their weapons, as well as we've seen in the Godzilla King of the Monsters trailer. And Kong is pretty strong as well, in that one fight scene in Kong Skull Island, he tanks a few helicopters and helicopter weapons as well, their kind of gunfire. So I would say Kong is pretty durable. He's definitely durable enough to fight Rodan, but is he durable enough to beat Rodan? That's a different question. Because Kong's real advantage in this fight is his smarts, using weapons and tools due to his opposable thumbs, and also his brute strength as well. So I'm pretty sure if he's able to pin Rodan on something and just kind of hammer him with his fist, he could maybe kill Rodan, possibly. But at the same time, Rodan's advantage in this kind of fight is his much larger size than this age Kong, along with the fact that Rodan in this MonsterVerse has an affinity with fire and volcanoes. He's described as having some sort of pyrokinetic-like abilities. We don't really know the full extent of these abilities, because we don't know, for example, can he shoot fire out of his mouth? I doubt it's to that extent, but we know at least that he's able to live in a volcano for a very long period of time, and it looks like when he's flying that he kind of has molten either scales or he has lava maybe on him, because of the fiery appearance he has as he kind of flies around from the edges of his wings. So if it's possible for Rodan to cover himself in some sort of lava while fighting Kong, it almost makes him untouchable, because while Kong handled the kind of napalm strike pretty well, I doubt that he's entirely invulnerable to something like lava, for example. That's a whole different ball game. But Kong currently, I think if he were to fight Rodan, the Kong at least from Kong Skull Island, I think Rodan would kill him, personally, just due to the fact that Rodan's durability, with being able to live in a volcano, hibernate in a volcano perfectly fine, I think that puts Rodan in an entirely different tier of durability than Godzilla, or not even Godzilla, sorry, but Kong in Kong Skull Island. And also at the same time, the big height difference they have at the moment, I think also gives Rodan an advantage, because Rodan looks a lot more offensively aggressive in his appearance than someone like Mothra, for example. So I really don't think that you want to get close to Rodan unless you feel comfortable in being able to overpower Rodan. And I just don't think that Kong would be able to do that at the size and everything he's in Kong Skull Island, considering the difficulty he had with the Skull Crawlers, for example. But comment below your guys' thoughts. What do you guys think about this type of matchup? Do you think Kong has more of a chance than I'm kind of giving him credit for? Or do you think Rodan has less of a chance than you think I'm giving him credit for? Comment below, and we'll see you guys later.